Most of the challenges under the lethal category are tough to complete simply because they're tedious. Getting 300 kills with each lethal item, for example, is no easy task. To make matters worse, there's also a few additional ones that can give you a headache. And one such challenge is called Fire Discipline. Get a double kill or better 3 times in a match with all kills coming from lethals. The reward for completing this challenge is a very creepy calling card. It depicts what looks like 2 devil babies that appear to be Siamese twins, one of which has its mouth sewn shut. They're also engulfed in some green liquid. I'm not quite sure what this is though. It could be devil piss, it could be exorcist vomit, or perhaps just old-fashioned baby devil melting acid. Regardless, it's quite the unique calling card. The challenge itself has been heavily requested on my channel, and rightfully so. For the average player, it's hard enough to get 3 double kills with your weapon, let alone 3 double kills with a lethal item. With my strategies and tactics, however, you'll be dousing your own devil babies in acid in no time flat. First of all, let's go over which lethal item is best suited for the task at hand. Out of the 6 available, you can cross off the combat axe right off the bat. Unless you Kobe an axe that ricochets off of multiple people, which I don't even think is possible, a double kill isn't going to happen, never mind 3. The Thermite Grenade also ranks among the worst lethals for this challenge. It simply takes too long to kill an enemy with it, since it's not an outright instant kill. The odds of getting a single double kill with the Thermite Grenade are pretty slim. Replicating this 3 times in a match would be tough. The Semtex and frag grenades are definitely doable, but there's too many things that could go wrong to make it worthwhile. For instance, a Semtex grenade can easily be avoided since you can't cook it. A frag grenade, on the other hand, likely needs to be cooked in order to catch an enemy by surprise with a short fuse. Perfecting a cooked frag grenade requires a bit of skill though. If you've attempted or completed the Popcorn Humiliation Challenge, you'll know just how hard it is to get a double kill with a frag grenade, much less 3 in a single match. The Trip Mine is a decent option for this challenge, but the blast radius tends to leave a lot desired. It's more suited for single kills, but that's not to say you can't achieve double kills. It's just not very practical. It also sticks out like a sore thumb, not to mention it's nearly impossible to hide. So that leaves us with one lethal left, the C4. Despite receiving a royal nerf since the days of Black Ops 2, this little sticky explosive is a devil baby's wet dream. Don't get me wrong though, achieving 3 double kills or better in a single match will still require a bit of luck. Don't give up if you don't complete it immediately. Personally, it took me several matches, but trust me when I say these methods will help you complete this challenge the fastest way possible. So in order to understand my methods better, let me first show you some of the reasons why I think this is the best lethal item for the challenge. First of all, the blast radius is huge. If you place a C4 in the middle of a domination flag, for example, the radius is large enough to take out anyone on the flag, even if they're on the edge of it, provided of course they aren't wearing flak jacket. And speaking of which, as you should all be aware, most lethal items in the game, with the exception of the combat axe and the thermite grenade, are easily countered by flak jacket. The flak jacket perk is the bane of this challenge. As you can clearly see here, both of these guys are wearing flak jacket. One C4 sandwich to their face will not kill them. 2 C4s, however, are a different story. Not many people know this, and in fact, I don't think I've seen anyone else report this yet. So watch here as I place 2 C4s down against the flak jacket users. This time, the C4s override the flak jacket perk and they both are instantly annihilated. Armor doesn't help the heart stay sharp. There's no escaping a double-decker C4 sandwich, and we can put this knowledge to good use. Before getting to the actual tactic, I need to note that the hardwired perk can somewhat counter C4. If you're not familiar with how C4 works in Black Ops 3, it has an alarm system associated with it. When an enemy comes into range of the deployed C4, it'll beep louder than a code blue alarm in the hospital. It also gives you a bright red textual indicator on the screen. Upon seeing this message, simply double tap the reload button to detonate it. If someone has the hardwired perk on, both of these alerts are eliminated. I want you to keep this in mind as I'll bring it up again in just a bit. So now that we have our lethal of choice, we have to pair it correctly to a game mode. I've got a few different strategies, but the main one requires domination. And don't worry if you're not much of an objective player. You don't need to be for this tactic to work. The idea is simple. Plop a C4 on the closest flag that you spawn by every life. Then you can proceed in a few different ways. Ideally, you'll want to flip the spawns. In domination in particular, this is incredibly easy to do. Venture far enough into enemy territory and you'll trigger a spawn flip. Upon doing so, A majority of the enemy team will now spawn at the flag you've got your booby-trapped C4. You'll be alerted of it triggering, and you can then double tap the C4. There's a good possibility that you'll receive a double kill upon doing so. I know it's tempting to double tap the C4 the moment you hear the alarm, but if you can hold off for 1 or 2 more seconds after the initial triggering, you may be rewarded in kind. Often when the spawns flip, one person gets ahead of the pack, and double tapping too early will only result in a single kill. If you wait that additional 1 or 2 seconds, it gives the rest of the spawners a chance to hop on the flag as well. You don't even necessarily need to flip the spawns. Simply deploy a C4 on your closest home flag and continue playing as normal. You know there's always enemies that travel in packs that love to attempt to flip the spawns themselves. If you find that you're only receiving single kills from this method, or you're getting the flak jacket indicator a lot, then start using 2 C4s. As I mentioned earlier, a double C4 will override the flak jacket perk. The ideal part of this tactic is that it completely negates the fact that hardwired counters C4. Even if the enemy is running the hardwired perk, since we're placing the C4 on the flag itself, we'll always know when it's time to detonate it. The announcer will make sure that by announcing the enemy is taking your flag. And this is actually one of my favorite aspects. A hardwired user may actually spot your C4 and assume they're safe due to the hardwired perk, but they'll often fail to take into consideration that the game announces when flags are being taken. The best piece of advice I can give you is to make sure you have 2 C4 classes prepped and ready to go. There's only one thing you need for certain on both classes, and that's the scavenger perk. This will give you the most opportunity to get the 3 double kills or more each match by allowing you to constantly replenish your C4 after a botched attempt. Not only this, Scavenger will alert you if someone has destroyed your deployed C4. If you have an active C4 deployed and walk over a scavenger pack, it will not replenish it. Now let's assume you put down a C4 and someone notices it and destroys it. The game doesn't alert you in any way whatsoever that they've destroyed your C4. However, in this scenario, if you walk over a scavenger pack, you will replenish your C4. It's a great indicator that lets you determine when your C4 gets destroyed by means other than your own detonation. Besides running this scavenger perk, one class should have 1 C4, and the other class should have 2 C4s. That way, even if you encounter a lobby full of flak jacket users, you'll still be able to attempt this challenge. If you find yourself not getting many double kills, try to be creative with the C4 placement. Let me show you what I mean with a few examples. On the map Aquarium, I've got 2 C4s hidden in this box on the A flag. If you've rarely encountered C4s before, you may not even notice them here. Not to mention that in a live game, you're always checking your flank or watching for approaching enemies, leaving little time to notice hidden C4s. However, if the enemy has the engineer perk, you can see that they're now easily noticeable. And sadly, there's not much countering the engineer perk. The only option is to be even more creative with your hiding. On the map Breach, for example, the B flag offers some absolutely insane hiding spots. Unless you're actively searching for them, there's no way a typical player will notice a well-hidden C4. Don't forget that hiding them up above things is an option as well. Hardly anyone ever looks up. So watch how easy this can be. Let's say you hide a C4 behind this blue barrel. It's tucked away in the corner. Any incoming enemy should be looking directly out the doorway for approaching enemies, not once expecting that a C4 may be tucked away in an obscure corner of the room. Even if the enemy does a quick scan for a corner camper, there's no way they'll be observant enough to notice a camouflage C4. And speaking of camouflaging, don't forget to use corpses to your advantage. A dead friend or foe makes an ideal environment for C4. Watch here as a C4 is placed directly on top of this dead body. There's no indication whatsoever that it's deployed. The only way to even see it is by getting down on the ground and doing the worm squirm into the body. And only then you can barely see the flashing red light. Before you ace this challenge, let's see how good the average player is at spotting C4s. I've got 3 images here that I'm going to put on the screen. See if you can locate where the C4 is in each one. In this first image, the map is Splash, and this is on the B flag. This is one that seems to confuse a lot of people since it's so well hidden. If you haven't noticed it yet, it involves the inner tube hanging on the wall. Notice that there are 3 silver markings on the inside of the tube. One of those is actually the C4. It's right here. With a quick glance, it almost looks identical to these other 2 silver things. Image number 2 again involves the B flag on the map Breach. This room is just chocked full of crevices where you can sneak a C4 in. I love the fact that the flashing red light gets completely extinguished if you place it correctly. If you don't see it yet, it's just barely noticeable. You can see the corner of it right here. Again, in a live match, I don't think anyone's going to notice that. This last one is pretty ridiculous. It's on the B flag on the map Hunted. It camouflages so well it's virtually impossible to see, save for a faint outline. I'll give you a hint. It's not in one of those dead bodies on the ground. It's actually in the waterfall, right here. No one would be stupid enough to look directly at the waterfall when capping this flag. Most people will either look up on the balcony, on the ledge above the waterfall, or towards the A flag, leaving you a sitting duck when you realize it's actually in the waterfall itself. Hopefully you failed to spot the C4 in all of these images, or at least had to do a double take on them, which indicates that hiding them can prove to be useful. Not to mention that if you did spot the C4 in all 3 images, you were specifically looking for it, which will likely never happen in a real match. My friend TheGingerWolf actually compiled an entire playlist of spots on certain maps where you can successfully hide your C4s. If you want to check out more spots, I've linked the playlist in the description. If you have no luck in Domination, you can try Safeguard or Hardpoint. In Safeguard, there's quite a few things working in your favor. First, the grouping of enemies. At the start of a round, when you're attacking the robot, if you rush straight into the enemy spawn and flank around, you'll likely catch 2 or more people attempting to earn easy escort points. Deploy a C4 in their face and hope that you at least take out a pair of enemies. Likewise, when an advancing robot gets in your own base, the clustering of enemies is more likely to occur. Ideally, you'll want to chuck a C4 near the advancing robot. Since the entire objective of Safeguard is to escort the robot, you'll normally see 2 or more enemies trying to do just that. The fact that Safeguard can also go multiple rounds, including overtime, can give you ample opportunity for your 3 double kills. Luckily for this challenge, your double kills in each round carry over. If all else fails, you can give Hardpoint a whirl. Allow the enemy to capture the hardpoint, rush up to it, and chuck in a C4 to test the waters. If you get the flak jacket indicator, swap to your dual C4 loadout and repeat. But this time, chuck both of your C4s in there and double tap as fast as you can. Personally, I never had much luck when I played Hardpoint, but it was mostly because no one ever played the damn objective. It seems like people hop onto the hardpoint, grab the points, and then retreat, which is disastrous for this challenge from your perspective, since this usually means there won't even be 2 or more bodies to blow up with your C4. If you're a vicious admirer of hardcore mode, you can also try hardcore domination. I need to note that flak jacket does work in hardcore mode. I've seen so many people, including popular YouTubers, state that flak jacket doesn't save your life in hardcore, and this is false. As you can see here, I detonate a C4 and definitely get the flak jacket indicator, clearly demonstrating that flak jacket still works even in hardcore. With that said, I will admit that it's incredibly rare to see flak jacket in hardcore mode, which makes it ideal if you want to run a single C4. Like I said earlier, you'll likely not get this challenge done on your first try. Using the methods outlined in this video, it took me roughly 10 matches to achieve this. If you consistently place 1 or 2 C4s on the nearest flag to you as soon as you spawn each and every life, you'll likely be looking at anywhere from 10 to 20 detonations per game. All it takes is 3 of those to be double kills or better to finish the challenge. If you find that the flak jacket perk is prevalent, don't forget you can counter this by deploying 2 C4s instead of 1, which overrides the flak jacket perk. Lastly, try to camouflage your C4s for optimal results. The set it and forget it mentality of C4 makes it ideal for completing this challenge. So maintain your fire discipline and remember, if C4 doesn't work, nothing does, except more C4.